My school was the start of a zombie apocalypse that almost killed my entire town. You may be thinking, if it was a zombie apocalypse, why is it not everywhere? All I have to say is, my town got lucky, and for some reason, it never spreaded anywhere else. It's like we're being targeted for something. Sounds dumb to most people, sounds fake to others. But after you read my story, you too will know that Myuuji High School was the start of a small town zombie apocalypse. It all started on a Monday morning of me getting bullied by the infamous Trevor and Dirk twins. These guys were jerks who bullied almost everybody unless they were 5'8" or above, but even still some tall people had a chance of getting bullied by these guys. I was on my way to third period when I saw them approach me. Most times I run, but I knew if they caught me I would get punished for it. I had to hurry and make a decision of just staying or running. I only had 3 to 4 minutes before the bell would ring and I would be marked tardy, so I decided to just book it and run as fast as I could downstairs to my next class. As I ran, I heard big footsteps behind me indicating that they were close to catching me. Of course, running in the halls is not permitted, so the bullies and I excuse was we were about to be marked tardy or absent. 1 minute remaining before I would be marked tardy, I got up the final stairs and ran towards my class, which was right in front of me. As I approached the class, I was grabbed from behind and yanked backwards. I looked up to see the Trevor and Dirk twins hovering over me like a couple of wild tigers looking over the prey that they caught. As I tried to wrestle myself free of Trevor's grip, Dirk punched me square in my face, knocking my glasses off in the process. When my glasses fell, Dirk laughed and mimicked a kind of famous video and said, "Nice shot." As both Trevor and Dirk laughed, the bell finally rang and they ran to whatever class they had. Mad at myself for letting them catch me, I walked to my class to only turn around and go back for my glasses. As I turned around, I thought I saw this figure dart, but since I wasn't wearing my glasses, it was kinda blurry, so I really couldn't tell. After I picked up my glasses and put them on, I heard a loud thump coming from the stairs, just a couple of feet away. When I looked, I heard another loud thump. I didn't want to go look because if it ended up being nothing, then I would waste even more time and be marked absent. I decided to just risk it and go look at the stairs to see what was making such a loud noise. As I approached the first set of stairs, I looked down towards the second set of stairs and saw a student I didn't recognize standing next to a wall. As I was about to say, "What are you doing?" this strange student banged his literal head on the wall. I swear, when his head made contact with the wall, I heard something snap/crack. I screamed when this happened, and he all of a sudden snapped his head towards me. This strange student started to run like he was on fire, straight at me, in the process skipping 2 stairs at a time. With just a mere second left before being squashed by the strange student, I quickly moved to the side, allowing the student to smash his face into the wall. Without looking back to see what happened to this student, I booked it up the next flight of stairs and straight to my class. As I rapidly knocked on the door, I turned around and saw that same student who just not a couple of seconds ago just smashed his entire face into the wall, standing in the entryway to the stairs. My literal jaw dropped, leaving my face in AO expression. As I stood there trying to think of how this strange student got up so fast, a voice interrupted my thoughts. Hey, get into class, young man, you're 12 minutes late." "Oh, sorry sir, I was just looking a minus. Why is he running towards us?" "I don't know, get into class, I will deal with this student. About time I'm done with him, he will be begging me not to suspend him." "Whatever you say." As I walked into class, hundreds of eyes came on me as I walked to my seat in the back of the class. As I sat down, I heard a scream that sounded like the teacher. Instantly everyone got out of their seats to go see what was happening. Some started yelling and screaming, while others were staring with a terrified look on their face. Caleb, a nerd just like me, ran to me and explained that there was a student nobody recognized eating the teacher. I almost threw up in my mouth when I heard chewing coming from the other side of the door. People started to scream zombie and barricade the door before he eats us all too. While everyone else was panicking and running around trying to find things to barricade the door, me and Caleb started to look around for an exit out of the school. Caleb thought of the windows, but it was locked and needed a key, and the windows were also strong in case of a school shooter, so it would take forever to try to smash it open. I then realized that there was no escape other than the door, and a few people would be sacrificed to get past the zombie. As Caleb and I started to realize what would have to be done to escape, the zombie started to back up in the back with some other students. All of a sudden, after about 30 to 45 seconds of people crying and shaking, a big football broke the silence by saying, "Did anyone have a signal?" Confused, people started to frantically check their phones for signals, but found none. Another kid named Kevin spoke up and said as soon as this happened, he dialed 911, but the operator said she couldn't help him because there were already reports of humans being hostile all over town. 2 to 5 more kids started to say yeah me too or same. We started to discuss among ourselves what to do about this zombie when a classmate mentioned where the zombie was. We all turned towards the door realizing that it was dead silent. One brave kid got up and walked to the door to see what had happened. As the kid got closer and closer to the door, everyone's breathing seemed muffled or gone. All attention was on this kid. When he finally got to the door, he peeked out the narrow glass and a shocked, surprised look came on his face. Just as he said the body was gone, a bloody hand crashed through the glass, grabbed his neck, and crushed his entire neck until the point where his head fell off his shoulders. Half the class screamed while the other half were paralyzed in fear. That same bloody hand then started to reach for the handle of the door. We watched in horror as it finally grabbed the handle and opened the door to reveal the strange student and zombified teacher. They instantly started to run, jumping on shocked kids and tearing into their flesh. Me, Caleb, Darnell, Kate, and Fred took off for the door, looking back just once and seeing half the class dead with others trying to get the zombie of a person just to be killed too. The last person out of the classroom, Fred, shut the door behind us just in case they decided to chase us down. We looked around and saw classrooms open and screaming from everywhere. We decided to try to run for the fire exit, which was down 3 flights of stairs. As we ran down the stairs, we saw people running out the door and zombies on top of people ripping into their flesh and pulling back chunks of meat. As we got near the fire exit, one of the zombies who was chewing on a student's flesh suddenly looked up and saw us. We all froze as the zombie slowly got up and stared at us. We all slowly walked to the exit, trying to put distance between us and the zombie. Fred, the big football player, reached and got a piece of cardboard and got in front of the group. As we slowly backed up, the zombie started to advance slowly. We got closer and closer to the exit to the point where Caleb was touching the door with his back. That's when the zombie started to run full speed at us. As the zombie got closer and closer, I saw how big this zombie really was. It was almost taller than Fred. It rammed into Fred with so much force that, when he fell, I heard a loud crack from somewhere in his body. The zombie immediately took advantage and started tearing through the cardboard, trying to rip into Fred's flesh. I was so scared and shocked I didn't realize my best friend Caleb was yelling my name. He grabbed me and pulled me away as I saw Fred struggle to get the zombie off of him. The last thing I saw before Caleb shut the door was the zombie biting Fred's neck and pulling back meat. I turned around to see 2 other classmates that made it out with me and Caleb. I told Caleb thanks and started talking about getting to a safe place. Darnell suggested we take one of the teacher's cars, but none of us had any clue of how to drive. Me and Darnell started to argue about who could drive better when a loud thump came from the door we had just come from. It was silent for so long, I was able to hear everyone's breathing. Kate then broke the silence and said we should go when the door burst open and out came the same zombie that killed Caleb. It ran so fast it was a blur. It jumped on Kate in an instant and killed her on the spot. We all started to run towards the teacher's cars while looking back just in case the zombie decided to chase us. We were all so distracted about that one zombie we barely noticed our surroundings. So when I got a good look at our surroundings while running, I was shocked. Smoke and fire in this distance, gunshots and sirens, people who made it out of the school running towards the road, zombies walking, it was chaos. We made it to the car and tried the doors, but of course it was locked. Darnell suggested breaking the window, but it would trigger the alarm, which would also trigger the zombies in the area. Caleb then said there were some bikes that the seniors used to get to school. But then he said it was all the way on the other side of the building. With all hope of escaping lost, we decided to make a run for the bikes. We went as far as we could to the right side of the school and slowly started walking towards the location of the bikes. As we were walking, I noticed more and more zombies were just walking around. I didn't want to say anything about it, thinking that these zombies had super hearing or something. As we got closer to the bikes, I noticed Darnell was looking really scared and anxious. I tapped his shoulder and made a "what's wrong" face, but when he turned around, he screamed so goddamn loud people from space probably heard it. We all froze and looked around for zombies running at us or zombies turning towards the noise and staring at us. It was like slow motion. Tons of zombies from almost every side were running towards us. We all immediately started running for the bikes. As we turned the corner of the building, we saw the bikes coming into view. But as we were running, I noticed a couple of zombies close to the bikes. I screamed how we were gonna get past them, but nobody answered. I looked behind me while running and saw all of the zombies that were chasing us tearing and ripping into Darnell's and Caleb's flesh. The only reason I was alive and running was because they got distracted eating my classmates. With tears in my eyes, I increased my speed and ran even faster to the bikes. One of the zombies who was close to the bikes perked its head up to the sound of my running. Once it locked its eyes on me, it started running full speed at me. Finally reaching the bikes, I grabbed one and threw it at the zombie, which caused the other zombies in the area to turn and run at me. I grabbed another and started to pedal, but one of the zombies that was close to the bikes jumped on me, causing me to fall off the bike and onto the grass. I heard a sickening thud as I saw the zombie go limp from crashing its head into the concrete wall. With 2 to 3 more seconds before 5 more zombies crashed into me, I decided to use the bike that had fallen as a shield and batted the zombies away from me. Just as the zombies were about to get past, the bike I was using as protection, a loud shriek came from nowhere. As soon as this shriek was heard, all of the zombies stopped and started walking slowly in one direction. Confused, I slowly got the bike quietly and started to pedal away. I had to occasionally weave past zombies or dead bodies who still didn't turn into a zombie yet. As I rode into the teacher's vehicle area, I saw the road just beyond the cars. I pedaled even faster until I was on the road. I looked around while pedaling and saw abandoned or crashed cars, dead bodies, cop cars, people running, smoke and ash in the air, buildings on fire. It was chaos. I didn't know where to go or what to do. All of my friends were dead and probably zombies now. I decided that I needed to find a safe place with clean water and fresh food. Knowing my way home, I pedaled as fast as I could, hoping that I could make it before night fell. I made a quick stop at a local gas station and saw blood all over the floor and some food products. Along with food products on the floor, and a couple of shelves were knocked over as well. I salvaged what I could and grabbed a couple of bags to make it easier to carry the supplies. I checked my watch on my wrist and saw it was 3:49. I ran to my bike and put the bags on the handles. As I started to pedal, I noticed there were a couple of zombies wandering around on the road. I realized that whatever that shriek did to the zombies had stopped. Now the zombies were back. I couldn't go through the grass because it was too hard to pedal, and trying to go around the zombies would be very dangerous. I decided to stop and find a rock to distract the zombies. Upon finding one, I looked up and saw that the zombies were gone. Confused, I wondered if I was just getting real hungry and decided to eat a quick snack when I heard running. I looked and saw the zombies were running in the grass towards me. I immediately hopped onto the bike and tried to pedal as fast as I could. Luckily, I got away because there were some cars the zombies had to get over to reach me, which slowed them down long enough for me to get away. But something was off. As I pedaled away, I looked back and saw them just staring at me. For some reason, these zombies had a lot of intelligence. They could have just ran straight at me, but instead ran around. I didn't know what this meant, but I didn't really think too much of it. As I continued to pedal, I saw my house come into view. I pedaled so hard my legs were aching, but I pushed past the pain until I was at my house. I quickly hopped off the bike and grabbed the bags of food and drinks. I ran up and looked around to make sure there were no zombies nearby. Once I was certain, I knocked on the door before opening the door. What I saw shocked me. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe.